What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Brandon's Face. It's the podcast about a playlist. I'm Jonathan Beardsley.
And I'm Brandon May.
We got a lot of music to talk about this week, so we're just going to dive right in, starting with this new one from Chase and Status and Stormzy called Backbone. I love kicking off the playlist with a banger each week. This felt like the appropriate banger for that. Great work from all involved. Were you a fan of this one, too?
It's my song of the week.
Fuck yeah, it is, dude. Fuck yeah. My only
This is
complaint
just a
is I wish
massive
it was longer,
banger.
right?
I mean, you just run it back, bro.
Yeah, I mean, which yes, I did many times. This is incredible. I think they only teased it for about a week, but I got pretty hyped during that week, and it lived up to that hype.
Yeah, this is a highlight in 2024 dance music. This is a massive banger, bro.
It's so fucking good. It's not my song of the week, but it is my most played song of the week for sure.
Yeah.
And I thought it blended perfectly into this next one, which is a new one from Fisher and Flowdan called Boost Up. It's another banger. It's like you went to the bathroom after the Chase and Status set, boofed a 5-hour energy, went back out to Fisher playing this for you. It's great.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that boofs his 5-hour energies. This is an absolute bop, man. Every time you get Flowdan on a track, he just kills it and sets the whole vibe for the track.
Yeah, he's kind of had that, like, channeled tress, Midas touch. Anything he's put his voice on these past few years has just been golden. All right, new one from Zed and Remy Wolf called Lucky. I thought this one was fine. It sounds how you would expect. Made to listen to while walking around Target. Not my favorite, but I'm happy to hear Remy get a big feature spot like this. Were you a fan?
Yeah, this track is extremely poppy. I'm going to go into the album with an open mind, and hopefully we get some more electro moments from Zed, but I don't really think anybody can blame him for going pop if he does fully send it that way, you know?
Yeah.
Funky-ass bass line, though. Well, I'll give that to him.
You took my next note right from me, which is we're two singles into this. It very much seems like we're not going to get any, very little, if at all, electro Zed, but I remain optimistic like you.
We'll see.
New one from J to G, Feeling Alive. How are you feeling about this one?
Another day, another funky-ass J to G track. To be expected at this point, man. I think this is actually one of her best in a while, I think. This is a very good track.
It's back to the straightforward piano house jam style that she is just best at. I'm never going to turn down a new J to G track.
Right.
All right, 2 new tracks from Disco Lines and Wes Mills, 11 Mast and Shine. How are you feeling about these?
Actually, both of these Disco Line tracks are fucking great, bro.
Right?
The groove, the bass lines, just, I liked everything about them.
Same. I mean, I'm sure you've noticed by me adding so many songs of his over the past year or so, but I've become a pretty big Disco Lines fan over the time since I've discovered him, I think late last year. He just puts out quality music at a consistent rate, and his live sets seem like a lot of fun to be in the crowd for from like the looks of his social media posts. Loved both of these tracks, man. We got a new one from Kolsch and Who Made Who called Heartless. This one felt very like Rufus Du Sol, Bob Moses adjacent to me, but I liked it. What did you think about it?
Yeah, that's the Who Made Who in the song. The strings are from Kolsch. Some melodic stuff for us this week, man. This is a collab that I didn't know that was in the works, but it does really work, man. You hear the production styles from both of them. Like I said, the kind of almost like down-tempo, melodic, kind of vocally stuff is from Who Made Who, while the strings and the cleared 909 kick drum are from Kolsch. And yeah, I really liked this song, man.
I did too, man. Really good stuff. I loved this next song, though. Alex Perez, False Promises. This song is incredible, dude. I loved everything about it. Thank you for throwing it on this week. Where did it come from?
You're welcome. Where it came from is apparently I clicked follow on Alex Perez a while ago, and he just released some new music. I don't know where I found Alex Perez, but look, man, I really loved that you sandwiched the electronic dance music portion of our playlist with 2 drum and bass tracks. I really love that for us. Yeah. Sultry guitars over some like deep drum and bass is so fucking wild, bro. This track is gorgeous. Yeah, it really is.
It's beautiful. So is the next one, new London Grammar track. Fakest Bitch is the name of it. Yeah, man. What'd you think of this one?
This track is absolutely scathing, John.
Yeah.
Incredible song. Fantastic lyrics made out of venom. I loved this song.
Yeah, most scathing song to not start with Mustard on the Beat Ho this year. It is good, man. The voice, as always with London Grammar, is just golden.
Imagine if Mustard did this track.
I can't stop imagining that, man. Or her saying Mustard on the Beat Ho, but maybe one day. All right, dude. The Smiles new track, Don't Get Me Started, is here. I love the overall sound of it. It sounds like an old Castlevania song, but slower and weirder, and with Tom York singing over it for some reason. None of that should work, but it absolutely does for me. What did you think about this one?
John, this is so bad. None of this makes any sense. It's off key. And if anyone else made this, if Tom York wasn't on this, I don't think anybody would like it. I guess the only good thing I could find on it is that the track itself, the use of atmosphere for building is pretty cool.
I love that you did the equivalent of like, all right, well, now say something nice before you walk away. Thank you for that last little compliment there, Brandon. I disagree, but we will move on. We got a new one from The Killers called Bright Lights. It's good, but if you told me that they wrote this song 20 years ago, I would believe it. I guess that speaks to the timeless quality of their music more than anything, but it is a Killers song. What did you think of it?
It's a Killers song sung by The Killers and done in Springsteen's brand of bland. It's okay, man. I really liked their last album, and I really like. I think I tried to get into it, and maybe because it was a whole project, I really enjoyed it. But this, I found myself skipping it this week.
I've been struggling with them for a while, as you know. This one was, really no different. I don't know. Maybe the new Springsteen should be the name of their next album. I'd be interested in that. That would be good. At least they'd be self-aware. All right, we got new one from Motion City Soundtrack. What a sentence. It's called Stop Talking. First single in a few years. I think they still got it. What about you?
The way I did a double take when I saw that this had released, man. Oh my God. It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, I agree, man. I really enjoyed this one. We have another new one from Cliff Diver, something we've been saying quite often on the podcast lately. This one is called Lord Have Mercer. I like it, but I really want them to bring back some ska soon, man. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, man. I went back and listened to, those are like literally my exact same notes, but I went back and listened to the other singles that they've released. It's good music. It's missing brass, obviously.
Yes.
But maybe it's only missing brass because Exercise Your Demons was so good with it that we're maybe overlooking some good music that doesn't have it. This is very good. So I'm going to give that to them. They actually do have an album coming out. I thought I wrote it down. I think it's October. But yeah, man.
I want to manifest a split EP with them and Millington. I think that would be great.
Ooh, that would be great, man.
Trying to make it happen. All right. We got a new one from Real Friends. Our Love Was Like a Sad Song. The song itself is good, but the title is why people who don't listen to this music make fun of us that do. What did you think of this one?
Oh, bro, this is so good. I'm such a big fan of this song. Real Friends is going on tour with Can't Swim and Carly Cosgrove, which have both been featured on our podcast here. It's going to be probably a series of fantastic shows with that lineup. This song was great, bro.
Yeah, that's a pretty stacked one. You usually get two good bands. You really don't get like a 3-1 every so often. So go check that out if you are a fan for sure. All right. Yep. Cranking things up a little bit. We got a new one from Unprocessed called Sacrifice Me. What'd you think of it?
So I actually loved it when this band was a little heavier. They put out an album last year that was like, it just wasn't heavy enough for me. This one hit a bit more of that spot for me. We've got the genty riffs with some singing and some screamy. That is normally a formula that tends to work.
Yeah. I always like some genty riffs and some screamy. The last minute of this track is really what made it for me. Thought it was good.
Yeah.
New Ocean's 8 Alaska track, Onsra is the name of this one. Really liked it. Impressive vocals, punchy guitars. Thought it was good. What about you?
So I know you mentioned the vocals. They actually have a new vocalist
Oh,
this
I did
time
not know
around.
that.
Yeah, Joel Haywood, who was in a few bands that I actually don't recognize. I'm gonna go look them up because his vocals were very good. I think he kills it. I love how heavy they get on this. They haven't been this heavy ever in a long time? Question mark. I really liked this song. We'll see what happens with this new vocalist era that they're going into.
Sometimes metalcore bands have to remind you that metal is in that name of the genre, you know?
Right, right, right.
All right, we got a new one from Void of Vision, Blood for Blood. This one fucks, dude. It's noisy, chaotic, rips. What'd you think of it?
Love that. Yeah, this track fucking bangs. Tons of hardcore content blending with like the new school metalcore stuff, which is what is missing from new school metalcore. Can somebody call Parkway Drive? We need we need more hardcore content in the core metal. Yeah, I loved this song, bro. This is exactly the metalcore that I like.
Parkway Drive doesn't have phones, Brandon. Come on.
They also don't play metalcore anymore, but that's none of my business.
Ooh, another topic. All right. We got Cosmic Putrefaction's new track, Hallways Engraved in Ether. This is fucking epic, dude. The song, the artwork, all of it. What did you think?
This was most definitely my runner-up for Song of the
I
Week. I
figured.
think you already knew that.
Yeah.
Well, here we are again with another Cosmic Putrefaction album on the way. It was my
Hell yeah.
favorite death metal album of 2022, and I, for one, am fucking stoked we're getting another one. This one progresses into some like hauntingly beautiful guitar work towards the end, and then just crushes us with blast beats and double bass grooves. And then we get like weird, clean-ish vocals on this one. All of the yes. My God, I'm excited for this one.
Dude, yeah. I can't wait. I'm going to have to look up the release date for that one and add it to the release calendar because this is
Yes,
a great step in that direction. One more single to talk about this week. It's a new one from Nails, Lacking the Ability to Process Empathy. One of their tracks was your song of the week a few weeks back. How's this one for you?
Yeah, this goes so incredibly hard. This Nails rollout has me extremely excited for their upcoming album.
Yeah, another new Nails song, another straight banger, dude. Really, really liked this one. And in true Brandon's face playlist fashion, it went straight into a Caliuchis EP, which was my favorite transition of the week. It also goes into my song of the week, which is the first one off this deluxe edition of Orchidas. It's called Addicto. Instant classic for me. I think it's perfect. I'm a big fan of the Kate Renata remix of Young, Rich, and in Love. Thought Simple was a good vibe. Como Des, I don't even know how to pronounce that track. Another just Latin pop banger in her bag. I didn't mean to add Dame Besso. It's just the last song from the original album, but I wasn't going to delete it once I added it because I love that song. I love everything she does, though, man. What did you think of these new tracks from her?
I'm gonna let you. Are you sitting down?
Yes, I am sitting down.
I actually liked the Kate Renata beat on this one.
Whoa. Dead.
Yeah, this is incredible. Obviously, Callie is extremely talented, and she shows it in droves every time she hits a fucking microphone. Yeah, man, the whole deluxe is incredible.
Yeah, dude, I agree. Obviously, I kind of like that she is wrapping up this era before kind of moving on to the new album. Although that last single we got from her did not appear on this, so it'll be interesting to see how that fits into anything. Or if it's just a random Lucy, but I have a feeling she won't be inactive for very long.
He's tying a cute little bow on Orchidas and while also rolling out another album, which is hard to do.
Yes, man. Orchida's still probably my album of the year right now. All right, we got our minimal techno release of the week. Bjork is the name. Caminos Encerrados is the name of the EP. What did you think of this one?
Bro, the building and progression on this album, on this EP, is just next level, bro. I had, obviously, a plethora of techno releases to go over, and I threw this one on, and my God, bro, I was just floored by Umbral. It just took me out. It, like, took me out of my fucking body, bro. The building and, like, the atmospheric progression of this one it blew me away, dude. Yeah, this is off of Incense Music out of Spain, which Spain makes great techno. So, yeah, man, this was good.
Yeah, same but different. Inerte is the one that just floored me. I had all the same thoughts about that one that you had as Umbral. This is a special release, man. Not gonna lie, this
Right.
one's really, really good. Thanks for throwing it on.
Yeah, of course. I looked at it and I had like a few selections from like Mutual Rhythm or Planet Rhythm or like Edit Select, and I listened to this one first, and then I went back to this one and I was like, oh my god, yeah, we got to talk about this one.
Yeah, it was the right pick. You made the right call. Good job. You ready to talk about a few albums?
I am.
All right, we only got a couple this week, but we're going to make them count with this extremely long Calvin Harris album. 96 Months is the name of it. First things first, I'd consider this a compilation more than an album. Semantics aside, it is a complete body of work to judge, and a sprawling one at that. It's pretty much every single he's put out over the past like 9 to 10 years, excluding the Funkwave stuff. Because
in 96 months.
Yeah. Thanks. Because of the nature of how it was created and put together, it's almost impossible to judge without taking into account how these songs have already played out. Like, how do you hear a song like How Deep Is Your Love with fresh ears when it's almost 10 years old, dude? Again, semantics aside, it is technically a new Calvin Harris album. And I think it plays out like one. Some fun yet predictable highs. How Deep Is Your Love? This Is What You Came For. One Kiss. Miracle. Desire. All great. Kind of cheating when you're putting your best proven singles all on one album after this long. But they're not all great, man. The songs with Rag and Bone, not so much for me. And to further complicate things, he threw a few tracks from his Love Regenerator alias on here. It's a big old mess. I feel like most of these songs would have been better off left as singles, but it is what it is. Somewhere between a 5 and a 6, with the better songs doing a lot of the heavy lifting on this one. What did you think of it?
Yeah, a lot of these singles were better off alone.
I wish
So
I had a
here
button
I
to
was.
just cue the dun, dun.
Oh man.
Can one
So
of
here
us
I was
songs?
thinking, yeah, I could do that. We could do
Please.
that. I'm gonna send you a board.
Famous
You just
last
push a
words.
button.
Thank you.
So here I was thinking we were going to be getting a new Calvin Harris album, but a selection of Lucy's and singles is, I guess, the best we're going to get for a minute at least. So
Yeah.
obviously we've talked about like the majority of these songs on the podcast, at least a quarter of them, right? Before, so I'll spare most of my thoughts, but I will say that I was actually really excited for new Calvin Harris music. That in and of itself, I think, is indicative of how much the industry and the EDM community as a whole kind of needs him to release a new album. He's been a singles guy for approximately 96 months, but prior to that, he's always been an album guy. When we got 18 months, dude, that thing ruled the fucking summer of, what was that, 2014 when that dropped?
Yup.
I mean, even like when I was first discovering Calvin Harris and I was going through his back catalog and I listened to Ready for the Weekend for the first time, I was fucking I was like, oh my god, this is fantastic, right?
Great album.
Calvin Harris needs to release new music and it needs to be in an album format, and I think it needs to happen. Somebody contact him. So it was disappointing to not get any real new music here. I think a couple of the edits are new, but you know, I enjoyed this because I enjoy his music, and I guess that's really all I have to say. It's somewhere around a 6, like you said. The Love Regenerator stuff didn't really fit on it. It's not cohesive because it's a collection of singles. It's not an album because there's like 3 different eras of Calvin Harris music in this.
Yep.
Like you said, it's impossible to listen to How Deep Is Your Love with fresh ears because I've heard it like 1,000 times.
Yep.
So, and I haven't even heard it, and I haven't even heard that song in like at least 3 or 4 years. And when it came on, I was like, oh, he put this on there.
Yep.
So-
I can put it on there.
You know, I mean, I can't really give a standout. I think probably fuck it. Miracle is my standout.
Great song. I don't think
Make new music like that.
Yeah. I mean, he tried with Free. I don't think they did it, though. I think it sounds like they're trying to make another Miracle, but they didn't quite get it.
No, I think he needs to duet with another EDM vocalist. If he got Skylar Grey on a track and put some trance behind it, I think it would be a fucking hit.
Hala? She's been fucking
there you go.
crushing it. Kylie Minogue, probably the best right now.
Real.
Let's move on. We got a new one from beabadoobee. This album is called This Is How Tomorrow Moves. This is my favorite album of the week, and also the one I think I have the least to say about. That's just because she's been delivering great music for so long that I've become desensitized to it at this point. I wouldn't say that I enjoyed this project drastically more than her others, but you can hear her getting better with every new project she puts out. Take a Bite was an immediate entry into her greatest hits, and I think the album cuts round out the rest of the track list nicely. It's a good album, somewhere between a 7 and an 8. Standout's really hard to pick on this one, man. I had quite a few favorites. I'm going to say Take a Bite's probably the one I'm going to remember the album for, though. What about you? What'd you think of this one?
Yeah, that was the lead single. So here is an album that I've also been anticipating for some time now. Beabadoobee has obviously been a staple on our podcast and in our ears, as we both really loved Beatopia. She has like the singer-songwriter aura while also having like that indie attitude that really set her apart from that whole singer-songwriter shtick. Going into this album, I know that we had the singles. We had a few singles, right? Take a Bite, Coming Home, Ever Seen, and finally Beaches, but that just released on the 7th, just a couple of days before the album dropping.
Yeah.
A couple of these singles are what I would call, quote, bangers, at least for Beabadoobee, but like Take a Bite has the same energy from Beatopia that I love. Ever Seen has that melody that won't quit and that like infectious energy. Coming Home, though, is more so what the album is about. It's that soft, slower, and intimate sound that admittedly we see quite often with her, but it isn't my favorite side of B, right? Notable lack of indie pop bangers and more ballads that focus on like the folky side of things than anything else. I can't say I dislike the whole project because there are most definitely album cuts that I like genuinely love, right? Like Take a Bite, obviously, Evermore. Those were singles that I loved. Take a Cruel Affair, for instance, though.
Yeah.
It's got this tropical vibe that her voice just kind of like floats over with a great like delay on the guitar and some fantastic chord work. And of course, California, which has the exact style of Beabadoobee that I love. It's got those like grunge adjacent guitar work filtered into like some fantastic drum work with her attitude just flowing over the thing both lyrically and sonically. I personally want more of that sound than we got on this album. I liked it more than I disliked it, but if I could take the ballads away, it would be more of a project that I would enjoy a little bit more. It's somewhere between a 6 and a 7 for me. It's either California or Take a Bite because that's the energy that I want from Beabadoobee.
So less ballads, more bangers, as is tradition.
Less ballads, more bangers.
Got it. I feel the same way, man. You said it best. All right, we got a new one from Chlöe. Her new album, Trouble in Paradise, is out. This wasn't quite a surprise release, but it kind of felt like one. The singles for it actually started rolling out back in March, but at that time it just seemed like she was putting out some new songs for festival season. Turns out this was all heading towards a new album, which probably comes as a surprise to you and I because she just put out her debut album last year. We both enjoyed it and knew she was capable of making quality music at a fast rate, as evidenced by the amount of great singles she put out that didn't even make that album. The album wasn't a massive success in terms of streaming numbers, but solid enough that it cemented her as one of the artists to watch in the genre. She was already in that space from her work with her sister, but her debut album, if nothing else, earned her a spot at the table with her peers by herself. Her vocal talent has always been ridiculous. That remains the case here. She makes just insanely difficult harmonies seem like light work every time she does them. She pulls infectious melodies out of thin air. She made not one, but two pro-masturbation bops on this album. Even if her lyrics aren't your thing, the confidence she delivers them with is captivating, dude. Even though I wouldn't say this album is better than her last, I think that she's continuing to get better as a solo artist as she continues to release these albums. I'm feeling another 7 on this one. Rose is going to be my standout. That one is ridiculous but fun. What did you think of this?
So Chlöe does her thing on this one, man.
Yeah.
Like you said, a relatively quick follow-up to 2023. We get like a more mature and a little bit more sexually charged album in a traditional 2000s style R&B, which is something that she clearly excels at. Her voice sounds obviously incredible here. Like you said, it's almost easy to take her music for granted because she makes it sound so easy to like just pull infectious melodies with her fucking voice out of nowhere and like do these harmonies and like pull them off without really sounding like she's straining, because she probably isn't you know?
No.
And lyrically, she's clearly tapping into something that she wants to, and I think that's fucking awesome for her. This is mostly upbeat, which is right up my alley. I enjoyed my time with it this week, man. High 6, low 7. My standout is actually Favorite with Anderson .Paak. I think that duet was fucking great, man.
I really like that one too. That was probably my runner-up for song of the album. The only reason I didn't pick it is because it almost feels more like an Anderson .Paak song featuring Chlöe, but great song nonetheless. I will give you that.
I think if that had released as a single, which maybe it did, I don't even know if it did.
It should have. It should have, for sure.
If it had, though, I would have felt the same way. But because it's kind of shoehorned into this album that clearly is a Chlöe album, it kind of flows really well because she's kind of given Anderson .Paak the spotlight a little bit, but it doesn't take away from her spotlight on the remainder of the album. You know what I mean?
That's a really good point. Yeah. All right, we got a new album from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Flight B741. How are you feeling about the new album from King Gizzard?
King Gizzard are back at it with their first album in almost 10 months. Woo. John, are they okay? Only one album in 2020 so far? Prolificness aside, man, they're back and they've brought Creedence Clearwater Revival style classic rock with them. Mm-hmm. I think I've listened to this album every day since it dropped, man. I have historically loved this style of classic rock. I listen to a ton of the classics regularly at home. Like nearly everything they've ever done, they went all in and did this extremely well. All of the tropes are there: harmonica, backup vocals, harmonizing, and also providing extra melody when they can, guitar solos, technical yet pushed back in the mixed drumming, twangy yet bluesy guitar riffs, and great guitar solos, bass lines that just kind of roll around and provide that kind of bluesy funk like only Southern U.S. rock could do, except for, these boys are from Australia. It's like they found pedals, instruments, and recording studios that haven't been touched since the mid-'70s. If one is a fan of this style of music, then one will like this. I'm a fan of it, and plain and simple, I like it, which is something I could call this album if it were things that there's like so much technical proficiency in the instrumentation that I really can't call this plain and simple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's even like studio chatter in some of the song intros, like Antarctica, which has this like fantastic harmonica and great lyrical content. This album sacrifices nothing and provides everything that anyone would want from an album like this. It's like stepping into a time machine every time this thing comes on. I put it on and my wife was like, "This is King Gizzard?" I was like, "Yeah." It sounds nothing like they've ever done, and I mean that in the best possible way. As a gigantic fan of Southern classic rock, this is an 8 out of 10. It's either Antarctica or Rats in the Sky for me. What are your thoughts on it, John?
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Brandon. This one is not for me, man. I think that's fine, though. It's their 26th studio album. They don't all need to be for me. They approach every album so differently that it'd almost be impossible to enjoy them all if you have a specific taste in their music. I still listen to Petro every week, and I'm trying my best not to compare every new project they put out to it, but it is the bar to beat in terms of quality for me. I'm a fan of their non-metal music as well. Obviously, we've covered tons of it, and I've really enjoyed it. But sometimes they go in a direction I just don't vibe with, and this is one of those albums. I kind of knew that would be the case based on the singles and that Creedence Clearwater Revival tone that we were getting from it, but I remained optimistic. I know to never doubt what the Giz is capable of. There's a few moments on this album that I do really enjoy, but as a whole, it's not one I see myself coming back to anytime soon after this week. I'm going to give it a 6. Like you said, the technical proficiency is anything but simple, and it is a work of art in itself in that regard. My standout's Mirage City.
It's a great opener.
It's a really, really good opener, man. Yeah, I don't know. I'll circle back to it in like a year or so and see if I feel any different. But I know my immediate feelings on it are pretty much solidified for now.
That's okay, bro. You're good. I also listen to Petro a lot. I listen to Petro Dragonic Apocalypse. And I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do the whole thing,
Oh,
but I
please,
listen to that
please.
often as well. And yeah, I get it. If you're not like a gigantic fan of like the Allman Brothers or Creedence, then like you probably won't like this album. But like I throw my Creedence record on all the time, so I liked this one.
Do you think there's a cover band for the Allman Brothers called the Almond Brothers? I've always wondered this.
I don't know, man. I've seen quite a few cover bands though. They've all got fun names.
Keep an eye out on the casino's summer schedule next summer for that good name.
I will.
Please,
I
thank
will.
you. All right, man. The Butch is here. It is Benny the Butcher's new album mixtape, Summertime Butch. You're a huge Benny the Butcher fan, arguably the biggest one I know. How did this one live up for you?
I have a one sentence review.
What's that?
Summertime motherfucking Butch, my man. Cold bars for a hot summer.
Yeah.
8 out of 10. Standout kitchen table.
I assumed that was going to be your standout. I had a feeling. Yeah, I didn't know this was a thing. I know we talked about his track Summer 24 recently, but I had no idea we were getting a full-on summer mixtape from Benny, especially the same year that we got a full-length album from him. I'm not going to complain about it, man. In terms of the music, it's more classic Butcher, hard bars, hard beats. It's the Griselda way. It looks like he's doing this with the Black Soprano family. I'm not really sure who all that entails. It sounded like a normal Butcher album with some other people on it, and I mean that as a good thing. It's only 10 tracks. 2 of those are interludes. Whole thing's over before you know it, but it works, dude. This is what made the mixtape era so great. Artists like this putting out quality work between albums, not just for the fans, but as a way to stay sharp at what they do. It's not an album of the year contender, but it is not trying to be, dude. This is just a good rap summer mixtape. It's a great way to end the summer, I think, for both of us as rap fans. It's a 7 for me. My standout is Summer 24.
Yeah, you know what elevated it to the 8 for me, John,
What's that?
was Higher. The closer
Yeah,
Higher
yeah.
is absolutely fucking insane for a mixtape track. This is an album track at worst. And he
Quality
just
wise,
decided
yes.
to throw that shit on his mixtape. Fuck it, throw it on the mixtape. I don't want it on the album. That's crazy to me that you got something this quality. It totally elevated it for me, and it made me run it back immediately. Like I listened to this mixtape after 25 minutes, it's done, and I'm like, bet, let's run this back.
Dude, that's more than fair. It is a great closer. I'll give you that.
Yep.
All right, new 4 Year Strong album, Analysis Paralysis. What are your thoughts on it?
I've got a lot of thoughts about this one, man. So I've always talked about 4 Year Strong because I really loved their first few albums, right? Admittedly, I haven't really sought out their music in a number of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably close to a fucking decade, bro.
Yeah.
Boy, oh fucking boy, if any of their music they've released since the last time I listened to them is anything like this, I've been massively missing out. I absolutely love, right, I absolutely love this album, John.
Fuck yeah.
It's pop punk, goes hardcore in the best possible way. This album is emotional, it's heavy, it's soft, it's got breakdowns and breakdown callouts while not really shying away from letting the music breathe and kind of do its own thing when necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Aftermath Afterthought is such a great way to open the thing. Bad Habit has this like visceral energy that makes it impossible to not turn up in your car. I'd like to personally say you're welcome to basically everybody I stopped at a stoplight next to this week while this song was playing. We're fucked as far as I can tell. It's such a fucking great breakdown call out.
Yeah.
Those pits are going to be fucking wild. Out of Touch may be one of the softest tunes on the records, and it's still a fucking banger. This album is no skips. I listened to it legit maybe twice a day since Friday, bro. It's a 9 for me, bro. I loved everything about this album. I couldn't skip a song because I knew I knew what was coming, and I was like, well, I gotta stay for this one. Bad Habits is probably my standout, but you can throw a dart at this thing, and they're all bangers.
Dude, hell yeah. I enjoyed this album as well. I don't have nearly as many thoughts on it. It's really simple. A lot of pop punk bands throw in breakdowns and shit, but very few of them do it as well as 4 Year Strong. They've perfected this sound over the years, apparently the years that you and I have not been listening to them. So I think enjoying this album, much like the King Gizzard one, it just comes down to whether or not you enjoy this sound. I do. I always have. I don't know what I went why I went away from listening to this type of music as much, but it's nice to circle back to it and to have it still make me feel the way that it used to. Man, they waste no time diving into the heavier side of their sound on the opening track. Probably my favorite breakdown on the album too. Like you said, Bad Habit is incredible, nice and catchy with a little hardcore edge to it. A lot of my favorite songs turned out to be singles that we never checked out, like Uncooked, Daddy of Mine, and Dead End Friend. Whole album flows nicely at 35 minutes, but it's a journey I was happy to take multiple times this week, dude. I have it at a solid 7. My standout is the opener, because it's the screamy breakdown that I just love so goddamn much, man. It's really, really good.
Don't we all?
Yes.
Don't we all?
Yes. Yeah, great album, dude. I agree. All right. One more album to talk about this week. Malodorous, the Carrion Recoil. Keeping in the theme of screamy breakdowns. How'd you feel about this one?
I was going to say, speaking of, man, it's been a while since we've covered something as disgustingly heavy as this. So what a way to do that this week than the return of Malodorous. This, for those who are not in the know, they've actually retained a pretty massive reputation in the brutal death metal scene since their last album dropped in 2007. Just for just to kind of set it up, most brutal death metal bands have under like 1,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Malodorous has maintained 5-figure monthly listeners at least for
That's
almost a long fucking time, right? Like that is impressive. Their last album has held a spot on my sci-fi themed brutal death metal playlist, which I'll link in the show notes, currently at over 23 hours of music.
Please.
It's got the trappings of every good slamming brutal death metal album. Pig squeals abound, crushing slams, deathcore chugs, and of course, obscure and hilariously haunting samples. The guest vocals on this album are also fantastic. Their use of like quasi-ambient outros and interludes, along with the way of building into their tracks right before they slam you face first into the alien predator apocalypse, is incredibly impressive. I am a massive fan of this album, and it hit all the right spots for something stupidly heavy this week. High 7, low 8. The whole thing is one song as far as I'm concerned, so throw a dart at this thing.
Oh, man. Yeah, you know that this thing is not my cup of tea vocally. Like, as you said, just disgustingly heavy. Musically, though, I thought it was really good. I do enjoy some squeals and squelches, but you know my taste in that stuff is extremely particular and not very well defined yet. This just did not fall on the side of it that I typically enjoy very much. But that doesn't mean I had a bad time listening to all these songs, man. I noticed the songs that I gravitated more towards were the ones that were less diverse vocally. Hearing the vocalist just growl his way through a song like Hypnosis of the Ancients was pretty rad, actually. And I like that I've gotten to the point in this genre where I can actually recognize the artist now. A year or two ago, I had no idea who Abominable Putridity or Vomit Forth were, but I certainly do now, and was excited to see names that I knew pop up. For better or worse, man, I enjoyed a few tracks from those artists as well. So even though I didn't love this album, I'm considering it an important step in my education and understanding of this side of brutal death metal. Overall, though, man, between a 5 and a 6 for me. Take that for what it's worth. My standout is the title track, man. A straight-to-the-point ripper that does not let up for the time it lasts.
It's a really good one. Yeah, I've got a soft spot for bands that just fucking gargle at you.
That's fine, man.
for a few minutes, like and some of the guest vocals on this one are actually really good, man. I think it's Necrotizing Fasciitis, where he comes in with those highs, I was like, wait, is this like Mitch Lucker or something? Like I was like, oh my god, like
I enjoyed the highs. Yeah, man, I wish. All right, any other thoughts on this one before we head out?
No, I'm good. I loved it.
All right, that is all we have to talk about this week. We will be back next week. We don't have a lot. Nero actually pushed their album from next week to early September for a sample clearance issue. We got new ones dropping from like Tinashe, Post Malone, a few others. We'll be sure to be checking those out, as well as other stuff we've missed. Make sure you're following along with the playlist that the podcast is based on. You can find the link to that in the show notes. You can also find us on Instagram and Reddit. Just search Brandon's Face Pod. Till next time, peace.
Peace.